So this is it. 8 weeks ago, I ended a bulk to start a holiday cut. A trim back for a summer holiday to enjoy the summer holiday lean and then the rest of summer before restarting a build phase later this year. Each week I've broken down these metrics here, and this will be the last time. In this video, I'll cover my end result and then discuss the reverse diet, taking myself out of that deficit and into a maintenance. Because that's the part most people get wrong, as they're hungry, full of cravings, and that willpower crumbles once you see the finish line. So let's get started. Week 7 ended with a weight average of 75.3 kilograms. This week, I've ended on 74.8, down 0.5 kilograms from last week. Now, I started this whole process weighing 79 kilograms. In week 6, I said that I'd aim for 74.5 as an average as a way to talk through these numbers with you. I've missed that number by 300 grams because of the wobble that I had last week. But I'm going to take it as a win because 300 grams would not be visible in progress photos or measurements. Weight is fine as a metric to just document and track your progress, but it shouldn't be the sole goal of a cut anyway. For calories, this week against a goal of 2,100, I've averaged 2,137. So over on what I was supposed to have. But that 2,100 was to counter the 457 calories that I was carrying over from last week in error. Protein has averaged 150 grams against a goal of 170, and the start of the week pulled that down because quite a lot of the protein sources I've had have been higher in fat, like chicken thigh, for example. And that's just because it was food in the freezer that needed using up. And so I've had fewer calories to play around with, and I've had to stop short of my allowance. I've still averaged 2 grams per kilo, which is pretty much mid-range of the recommended daily protein intake anyway. So over the past 8 weeks, I've dropped calories twice. Once at the end of week 5 and then once after the mistake in week 6. I could have just done the once, which shows you the importance of getting your starting calories right, because a deficit that's too aggressive from the start leaves you with nowhere to go when progress starts to slow. Now, I chose to move more rather than eat less over these weeks, which has also meant that I could protect this figure for longer. To see what a typical day looks like on these sort of calories, click the pop-up above or the link below in this video to see how I fit 2,200 calories in and around childcare, the office job, training, and then my general life routine. Now for steps, against a goal of 15,000, I've averaged 15,502. Not consistently the same every single day, but enough once it's spread out across the week. For water, against the goal of 3 litres, again, 3 litres on that one. And then for sleep, 6 to 8 hours, I've averaged 6 hours, 26 minutes. So lower than usual, but it's been a hotter week here, so sleep has been patchy. Both still in line with the goals, and nothing's really changed on that front since the start. And then finally, cardio against a goal of 750, which I set only 2 weeks ago. This final week I have ended having burnt 780 calories. That was done through Stairmaster and also 2 runs. And this metric was added because, again, I didn't want to reduce my food or walk more to hit that 74.5 kilo target that I spoke about in week 5. If I didn't want to do that additional cardio, I could have reduced my intake instead to achieve the same outcome. So I'd have pulled food down by 100 or 150 calories in earlier weeks, and I would have been ending today lower on my calories if I'd taken that path. From a training perspective, there's been a slight drop in strength, but I'd say nothing dramatic. No more than 10% in my working weight in my sets compared to the start and where I am today. In some moves, I'm maintaining or lifting heavier than at the start, so providing you're fueling workouts correctly, sessions can still be decent. So now we're at the end of all of this. This past week, I've been able to stand on the scales, see the 75s and even the 74s, and I've just had that huge sense of relief and achievement for trusting the process. Seeing my reflection in the mirror and trying on new clothes, I can feel that I'm leaner, and that has taken some time to show through. The goal was never an aggressive photo shoot or competition styled shoot or cut back anyway. It was just a trim back to see what I've built, and I've achieved that. So was it worth it? Yes, because I've had a 6-month build phase and I could feel and see I was softer. I knew we had holidays coming up, and I wanted to lose the fat ahead of the peak holiday and social season of summer. 8 weeks of effort for months of being lean and then having a lean canvas to build on thereafter definitely makes it worth it. So if you'd like to run the same fat loss phase yourself, you can do so with 4 weeks of free fat loss coaching linked down below. You'll get the templates, the trackers, the training plan, the goal setting guidance, and the direction from me on managing social events and breaking plateaus. It's this exact framework that I've been using. And it's this exact same framework that also expands to reverse diets, which is the next step. So I need to take myself out of this deficit and back to a maintenance so that I don't cave to appetite and cravings. And I want to do this pretty quickly so that I'm at maintenance for the holiday and I'm not stepping onto the plane still in a deficit, because I'll be faced with far more temptations when I'm away. And with that holiday mentality, that's just going to risk overindulgence and then a bounce back, which I do not want. So this graph is my way of trying to demonstrate to you how to reverse diet. This red line is the deficit threshold. So if I am below that line, I am in a deficit. If I'm above that line, I am in maintenance. But then if you go even higher above that line, you will go into a surplus, and that's where you start putting on weight and on muscle, and that's what you do when you're going into a build phase. Week 8, which is where the ending today, 2,100 calories. My maintenance is somewhere up here, but I'm not too sure what that figure will be. And the reason why I say that is because if I compare my body today to where I was at the start of this, my body has adjusted to running on less fuel. It's more efficient and it's burning fewer calories day to day. That's NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. The problem or the challenge that people face is, if I were to flood myself with an extra 800 calories tomorrow to get back up to maintenance based on what I was eating before, my body hasn't had enough time to wake up and have that intake effectively. So those calories have nowhere to go except storage, because my body doesn't have a need for that number of calories right now, because it's used to operating at a lower level. So I need to introduce a gentle 1 to 2 week reverse diet that will allow me to do it controlled and not overshoot myself. So the maintenance today is not the same as my maintenance back then, because I'm leaner and I'm lighter. And so I need to recalculate my maintenance calories. And honestly, the best approach I can use and that I can recommend is that you use a calorie calculator online. You enter your new weight, your height and your age, and then based on your activity profile, it'll give you a suggestion. Now, I'd be conservative with your activity level when these calculators ask, because it's safer to underestimate than over, as you can easily add more food in the coming weeks if you find that you're still losing weight than it is to have to restart a deficit and a cut because you've gone too high too quick and flooded yourself. I've already taken 500 calories out of my diet to introduce this deficit anyway, so I know I've got at least 500 calories to play with, but it's going to be incremental so that I introduce that food slowly and monitor my weight on a weekly basis still, start following the same behaviors and approaches to make sure that my body adjusts and adapts and that I don't flood myself too quickly. And when I say flood myself, I'm talking about how you start to then bloat and then you get overspill, and you'll be able to tell from your physique, you'll lose that muscularity and that definition that you've built up during the cut. So based on the calorie calculator that I've used, the recommended or the suggested, and it is an estimate, I have to emphasize that, is 2,800 calories. I consume 2,800 calories, I will be at maintenance today. And this is based on the training and the steps and the output that I'm doing right now today. And so in a reverse diet, it's crucial that you either increase food or reduce movement, if that movement is above the norm that you'd be doing and it was specifically for the cut. Never do both in the same week, because if you add food and remove cardio, you're adding input and reducing output, which are both triggers for weight gain. So it's either one or the other that you do on a weekly basis. So I'll bump up to 2,500 calories next week. So for week 9, I'll go from 2,100 to 2,500. And I will sit at 2,500 for that full week, continuing everything else as I normally do. The week after that, I'll then bump food up again to that 2,800 line. And that is the only change that I will make. So start from week 8 today, I'm at 2,100 up to 2,500. And then finally, I will then go up to 2,800. And I will just split it across a 2-week period. During this time, I will see the scales jump up maybe half to 1 kilo in that. And it's key to remember that it's not fat. It's glycogen refilling the muscles after they've been depleted through the cut, plus extra food in volume in my gut, and that's going to be paired with water that's needed to digest those carbs. And that also answers the question as to where those extra calories are going to come from. Carbs. Protein is already established at 170 grams, and I want the carbs for training and also for my energy levels. So I'll be keeping the exact same structured meals and approach so that my emotions don't drive my decisions around food, because I'm at that point now where I just want to eat. Extra food is going to lead to those temptations, and that's where that overeating is going to come from. So I need to keep those things in check with structure. And this reverse diet is the most important phase in all of this, because it's the part that protects the physique that you carry at the end of this cut. And it's everything that you've worked for. And that's it. That's how you introduce a reverse diet. It's nothing more complicated than that. You calculate your new total daily energy expenditure, which is your TDEE, which is effectively your maintenance calories, based on your current profile and your current activity levels. And then you slowly introduce either more food or reduce movement till you get to the point where your weight is consistent and it's staying the same each and every week. And that is it. 8 weeks done. Over 4 kilograms down. The key metrics have been tracked and every mistake has been documented to you, and I've explained every adjustment that I've made. Week 5 nearly broke me, and week 7 could have messed this finish up entirely. But cuts are never perfect. What's key is consistency, and that's what I've shown throughout this entire process, to show you the rule of averages and to also trust the process. Because the process works. The numbers don't lie, and this reverse diet stage cannot be skipped. If you've enjoyed this, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for what's next. Because now that the cut's done, I'm going to be showing you more gym, more nutritional stuff, because I've got that extra room to play with. Plus, I'll be showing you the build phase after this holiday. Take care.